today we got a question on whether or not you should be stretching, which is a very basic question, very easy to answer. And then the more we thought about it, the more we figured that it's not as cut and dry as we had originally made it. So we're going to kind of talk about whether you should be using a static stretching routine, dynamic mobility routine, or a mixture of both, or what of those options is the best option for you.
I mean, my short answer to do you need to stretch every single time you work out would probably be no. I mean, do you absolutely have to? No. Are you going to get hurt every single time you don't stretch? Absolutely not. We were on a deadlift routine for a while, maxing once or twice a week, trying to increase our max, and while we warmed up, we did not stretch to any capacity that we should have, and we both ended up getting hurt.
Yeah, so if you think about the science behind stretching, you guys can see we're stuck in traffic, one of the worst roads in America. Two ways of going about stretching, in my opinion. There's dynamic stretching, dynamic stretching routine where you're using more of the exercises and more of the movement patterns that are involved in the exercise that you're doing to stretch the muscles. And there's also static stretching, which is your classic, you play soccer as a kid or football as a kid or whatever sport, they have you put your leg out and you touch your toe, that kind of stuff.
We've been training for a long time. We know what we're doing. We're very used to hard workouts, and some of our clients are on the older side or the younger side. Their bodies are not used to that, and they're much more prone to get hurt than someone like us.
Fuck this light. Fuck. After the last cycle of working out, we made it a choice to start doing a dynamic warm-up every time, and then either a dynamic stretching routine or a static stretching routine. For a dynamic warm-up, you're looking to utilize the movements that you are about to perform or that you constantly perform to stretch the muscle. So if you think about a full depth squat, your quads are lengthened. Totally lengthened. Same as a stretch, right? Same thing with your glutes. Your glutes are totally lengthened. So by performing that motion full range, you are stretching that muscle to full length and then shortening it, which makes it a little bit more dynamic. It's a little more functional. So the point of dynamic stretching is to get the movement that you're going to be perform it through full range, or maybe even further than full range. On a push-up, for instance, you might want, if you're warming your chest up, you might want to drop all the way down or get your hands on kettlebells so that you can sink even lower than chest to the ground. That way your pec is over lengthened. You're actually stretching the pec, and then you can drive up out of it. Oh.
Fucking hungry. Jesus Christ. The thing about static stretching is if you're gonna really static stretch like before a max deadlift, it is going to greatly reduce your max
max power. When you statically stretch something and then try and contract it, not as much muscle fiber is going to contract or be recruited. To summarize, like the static stretching versus dynamic stretching, in my opinion, the best way to use those things is to use static stretching as a recovery tool. You use it after your workouts to stretch the muscles that were just worked. You can sit in longer periods, 30 seconds to a minute, really lengthen that muscle. You're not worried about losing power production because the workout's over. You have time to recover, then your power production is back to 100%. The dynamic warm-up is much better because you don't have that reduction in power production. Your muscle's going to recruit just as well. It's even going to recruit better because you primed it to do so through those dynamic ranges of motion. So we use a lot of dynamic warm-up, as you'll see in our deadlift warm-up video. In the beginning and before we go into a program, and after the program, we spend some time doing static stretching now.
Go. So dumb. Fucking how many minivans are in Stanford? When it comes down to do you need to stretch or do you not need to stretch, our answer is yes, you need to fucking stretch.
Yes, you need to stretch.
Well,